All right, I am very excited to talk about the unbearable weight of massive talent. Huge Nick Cage fan, and when I first saw this trailer, I couldn't even believe a movie like this was even being made. So finally went and saw it last night. I was actually surprised by just how packed the theater was, just because The Northman also came out last night. But a lot of us Nicolas Cage fans and the audience there, and I had a really fun time watching this movie. So let's talk about it. And as I'm sure you've seen in the trailer, the gist of this movie is that Nicolas Cage is playing himself, and he's in a sort of a rough patch of his career. He's on rocky terms with his daughter, rocky terms with his ex-wife, and he's trying to get roles, and he's auditioning for these roles, and producers are going with other people instead of him, and it's kind of killing him inside, to the point where he's kind of contemplating retiring from acting altogether, until Pedro Pascal offers him $1 million to come visit him on his private island, and they can kind of be friends and work out a screenplay together. And I have to talk about Pedro Pascal for a second, because when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was actually a very interesting casting choice to go with Pedro Pascal to play opposite of Nicolas Cage, just because it's not something I would have ever thought to have done, and it works very well with this movie. So here's the thing: Nicolas Cage is, in my opinion, an amazing actor, and I love everything he's in. Even the bad movies that Nicolas Cage is in, they're always fun to watch just because he's in it. And I took my girlfriend to see this movie, and she was not a big fan of it. And I think that's because she's just not really a big fan of Nicolas Cage. Now, she seemed to be the only one in the theater that was not having a good time, because with me and every single other person except my girlfriend, we were all laughing. Listen, this movie is extremely funny, and it's a really good action comedy. The action is also really top notch in this movie. If you're a huge Nicolas Cage fan, and if you've seen a lot of his movies, especially his mainstream movies, there are a lot of references for you to get in this movie, not just spoken references, but even references that you can see in the background and everything. If you're a Nicolas Cage fan, you're going to love this movie, okay? And him and Pedro Pascal play off each other very, very well. And much like when I went and saw The Lost City, I was really kind of surprised at how good of an action comedy that was, just because the action was also pretty good in it. And same with this movie. This movie is so funny, but the action is also so well done. It's such a great Nicolas Cage movie, and I hope this is a start to Nicolas Cage trying to make like a comeback, because he's always in movies, like, and that's like a big joke in this movie. It's not that he ever went anywhere. It's just that sometimes his acting career just kind of took a step down. And with Pig, that he was in last year, and he was in Mandy a few years ago, then obviously now you have this movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I hope this is kind of a spark to his career, because he is amazing in this movie. I mean, I'm telling you, if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, you are going to love this movie. And the action and the comedy, it really is top notch. And it's only like an hour and 40 minutes long. So, I mean, it starts right away, starts right off the bat, and it ends pretty quickly. And you're going to enjoy like your time watching the entire movie. The only thing negative I could probably give this movie is the third act. And this happens a lot with comedies, and especially action comedies. The third act kind of falls a little bit. Not terrible, but if compared to the first act and the second act, the third act just it takes a little bit of a dip down. But I had an absolutely great time with this movie, and the only way I can see someone not liking this movie is, like I said, is if you're not a Nicolas Cage fan. And I can't stress enough, if you are a Cage fan, you need to go and watch this movie. You're going to have an absolute blast, especially if you've seen a lot of his other work. There's a lot of cool references for you to see in this movie, and I honestly I couldn't even believe just that this movie was even made. And I want to talk about the meta aspect actually real quick before I end this review, because this movie, while it's very meta, it's never too over the top, to the point where you feel like you're just being bonked over the head with, like, oh, with the movie being like, oh, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Like, it's not like that. It's like, if you've seen stuff, or if you know Nicolas Cage's work, then you know. All right, it's not going to try to specify exactly where each thing is coming from. It's like, if you know, you know. And I like that aspect of it. I like that it was meta, but it didn't have to be meta to a fault, basically. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So listen, if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, I 100% think that you should go watch this movie. And if you're not a Nicolas Cage fan, stay away. You're not going to enjoy it. You're probably going to hate the entire 1 hour and 40-minute runtime of this movie. You're not going to like it. So once again, if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, go and see the movie. I promise you won't be disappointed. And listen, I really do hope that this is a comeback for Nicolas Cage's career, because I'm a huge fan, and I would like to see him in some other movies and aren't just straight to Shudder exclusives. Not that they're all bad, but I would like to see him kind of become more of the mainstream star that we once knew. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching my review, and I hope to see you back in my next one.